accounting students. This is the work together situation for 16-4, and journalizing the closing entries can actually be rather intimidating, so I thought I would at least help you get started so that you can have a little bit of additional support on this activity if you need it. So I just am in Aplia. I'm in the student view, so this should look very similar to what you see, and I'm just going to go ahead and click the work together for 16-4. Okay, so what you can see here is that we are going to be preparing the closing entries for Superior Corporation for December 31st, 2000 and whatever the year is. So we're going to use their trial balance and their financial statements to go ahead and close the income statement accounts with credit balances on page 19 of the General Journal. So we're doing the accounts that have the credit balances first. So we're going to go ahead and start with our I'm going to go ahead and pin the asset question up here at the top. So you can see we have the adjusted trial balance. We also have the income statement, the statement of stockholders' equity, and the balance sheet so that we can go ahead and use that information. So the first thing we're going to do then, according to the directions, is close the income statement accounts that have credit balances. So you can see the first credit balance that we're going to be looking at here is going to be sales. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to post for December 31st. For sales. We don't need a document number here, and we're going to just debit sales because credit is currently listed as a sales, credit is sales is currently listed as a credit amount. Here it is. So we're going to be posting that as a debit. Okay, and then you can see that the next thing we would be looking at is going to be the purchases discount. Oops, spelling is not my friend right now. And 737.71. Looks like we also are going to do purchases, returns, and allowances, which is going to be 91. And let's go ahead, and looks like we've also got interest income here. So we're going to go ahead and do interest income. So now we've got interest income. And then we're going to go ahead and remember that for every time that we have a debit, we must have the corresponding credit. So we're going to be debiting sales, purchase discount, purchases, returns, and allowances, and interest income. And then the account that we're going to be issuing the credit to is our income summary. And that credit is going to be the total of these four accounts. Okay. And you can see because it's a credit then that it was indented as under the income summary. Now, this would be the closing entries for the accounts that have credit balances. And if we go ahead and say, let's go ahead and grade step 1, you can see that we did that correctly, and now we can go ahead and move on to step 2. Step 2, I'll go ahead and pin this guy up at the top. Step 2 says use the trial balance and financial statements in the question assets to close the income statement accounts with. The debit balances continuing on page 19. So now is when we're going to go ahead and say that we're going to be doing for the date. And this is, again, going to go ahead and be a debit to income summary, but first we need to come up with all of the credits so that we can total up all the credits. So let's find our accounts on our adjusted trial balance that are going to have a debit balance so that we can credit the accounts. So let's see, go ahead and find one that would be working for us. Scrolling down because my brains are tired. Here we go. So we're going to follow sales discount then. We're going to go ahead and just list the sales discount. And the sales discount is going to be a credit. And we need to go ahead and all the way down identify all of the accounts and post all of the credits so that we can then go ahead and total them up and come up with our income summary amount. So at this point, what I'm going to tell you to do is just pause the video so that you can go ahead and go and add up all of those entries that you need to make in your general journal for closing so that then you can come up with a total for your income summary that you need to debit. Okay, so at this point, hopefully you have gone through and identified all of the accounts that have the debit balance so that you have posted them and now you're ready to come up and we're adding all of these so that we can go ahead and post our income summary amount. I'm going to tell you I know that that amount is correct, and so I'm just going to say grade step 2 even though I didn't type them all in. I want to move on and make sure that you can see here I left them all blank, so you can have a look. But I'm going to go on to the next step so that you can see the third step, which is where we use continuing page 19 of the general journal to close the income summary account. So now at this point, you can see that we need to do an entry for income summary and retained earnings. So where is it that we find the information for the income summary? And if you remember from the book on page 497 where we looked at the T account for the income summary. So once we're looking at that T account, we're looking at, for our income summary, we are looking at our credit of 297.32 and our debit of 429.376.63. And so the difference here in our income summary account is a credit, and the credit in our income summary on the T account, remember if you draw a T account, is going to be roughly 73,000. So 73,000 some change. So then what we're going to do to zero that out is a debit to our income summary. So we're going to go ahead and just date that the 31st. Whoops. And we've got our closing entry now, right? Because we're closing out that income summary account. To close it out, and then the account that we're going to credit is retained earnings. Okay, so now that we are posting the credit to retained earnings, if we go ahead and grade this, we'll see that I did the math correct, hopefully, haha. And then we can move on to step 4, which is looking at, oops, it's graded. Yeah, we're good. Okay, now we're moving on to step 4. And we are closing the dividends account. So down here at the bottom, we're looking at dividends. So statement of stockholders' equity we see information about dividends there? What about our balance sheet? Do we see information about dividends there? You could say I've got some dividends payable on my balance sheet. So we need to be able to find our dividends. Sorry, I had to pause my recording on my video here because I actually had somebody stop right in my room. So we need to go to our statement of stockholders' equity and see that we declared a dividend during the year of $12,000. So on our statement of stockholders' equity, it looks like we need to go ahead and put in then an entry to close out the dividends. So again, whoops, how about we'll do retained earnings for the $12,000, and then we're going to go ahead and credit dividends. And whoops, we should be able to grade the final step and know that that is correct. So now we've got our closing entries done so that we have zeroed out all of those temporary accounts. At this point, you would say, I would like to save and continue, and you should be all set to go through and do the on your own. Good luck.